Hello friends, welcome to this live stream. And as you know that I meet you every day, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. and we discuss something which are issues which are related to business, science and technology. And today we have a very interesting subject, which is, can humans become like God in future? And I think we are proceeding towards that. And in order to bring a structure to this subject, I have an agenda which is very well defined. The agenda is here, which is how the civilizations are formed. I will just cover that little bit so that we bring a flow to our discussion, and also how the resource availability shape our civilization. And then there is a lot of AI, a lot of new tech which is changing our society, and what will happen to human race in future. So without further ado, without wasting any more moment, let's start our discussion. And the topic is, can humans become gods of the future? All right, so this is very interesting. Let's start. In order to understand the emergence of the human civilization, the early humans basically got together. They were living alone in other huts or in caves, but then they got together and they started living as a small settlement around the mostly around the water. If there is a pond or a river, preferably a river, because around the river, on the banks, they will get most of the resources which are needed for survival. They need water. They will also get if they are non-vegetarian, they will get animals to hunt, fish, etc. And using this water, they could cultivate certain field and certain plants, and they start doing cultivation. So initially humans were living in this kind of a society where mostly around on the banks of the river, because the availability of resources was there, and they could settle down easily. There were no rules and regulations. People can come and go as and when they want, and if they want to live in the small settlement, they can. If they want to set up their hut slightly away from the hustle bustle of the central location, they can. There was no rules and regulation there at that point in time. So initially the humans started living like that in the small settlements, and this basically created the first sort of, you can say that small settlement, and people started living in group. So let us start our discussion from this point. I'm not going before this time, because before that time it's going to be very long to basically discuss how humans actually evolved. But the next step was basically converting these settlements into a much bigger, like a village, tribal village. Create some sort of rules and regulations, certain processes which are required to live in a much larger settlement, certain do's and don'ts, certain processes, certain religious symbols, and also a small bit of governance. Who will take the decision? That kind of a thing evolved as a natural upbringing of or natural ecosystem was created, because now there are more number of people living in a village, maybe 100 families or maybe 500 people together, or even less, or slightly more or less around the same number. So this is where the emergence of the government started, because humans realized that now we are living next to the river. Most of what we need is available from the river. We get water. We need water for our every needs, every walk of life. We get food, and around this, because of the location, we need to basically protect our nature, and hence so on and so forth. In case there is something bad happening, then punishment. If there is something good happening, then rewards. And who will decide what punishment, and who will decide what reward? So a little bit of governance was also introduced in the form of early settlement or early tribal village establishment. So essentially, so far we are living across the availability of resources, and the governance was established because of our coming together as a society. So I think the society started developing at this point. Okay, so let's move to the next item where these societies, small villages, actually started becoming civilizations. So when we say civilizations, civilization has a very profound meaning. It actually leaves impact for eons to for future people, future generations to go back and study. There is a civilization which will come and go, but it will leave the mark, a sort of a prominence on the surface of the earth, because the civilizations is a combination of multiple tribes, multiple villages coming together as one entity, and they will have by and large similar governance systems, and they will probably speak the same language. They will have same sort of belief systems, and they will also have the same sort of living standards, and that is why there are civilizations. So if we go back in history, there are several civilizations in our history, uh, and there are two civilizations which are still existing, which is the Chinese civilization, still existing even though they are now communist. uh, Nevertheless, the people of China, if they are freed from the communalism, then they can come out and talk about their civilization. Our Indian civilization is the oldest surviving civilization today on the face of the earth, and people say that it has been surviving for last 10,000 years. So Indian civilization is the oldest only surviving civilization. Um, but then there are other civilizations that we have seen. We know Egyptian, Mesopotamia, so on and so forth. And today, what is going on? There are Western civilizations, there are Eastern civilizations. So there are civilizations even today which have taken roots a couple of hundred years back, and now they are thriving. Most of these civilizations are thriving. So while Indian has been thriving for last 10,000 years, let's not forget that there are Western cultures, there are Central European cultures, and there are Native American cultures, there are Chinese, and so on and so forth. So there are civilizations which are pretty old, and they are coming together as one civilization. So I think the point I'm trying to drive here is that uh, it is the need which creates the civilization, and civilization becomes something very profound, very large scale, and it will leave its impact on the surface of the earth, even if the civilization disappears. So you would then ask, what is the context of humans becoming gods? I think this progression so far will help us understand how future of humans, or what awaits for futures for humans. So now we know that our civilization is pretty strong. We are a global world. We have created not only civilizations, we have also gone ahead and we have converted our civilizations into nations. And there is a new religion which has come up, and this new religion is sometimes referred as nationalism. There is a French nationalism, there's American nationalism, Indian nationalism, and even European. Each country has some sort of nationalism. People living in those nations basically fight and die for their nation. So the nationalism is sort of becoming a new norm, a new religion, so to speak. And nationalism, or the nations, are creating much bigger entities than the erstwhile civilizations, because erstwhile civilizations had impact to an extent in a smaller area, but these nations are comprising of multiple diversity, and yet they are able to form a system at a much larger scale. And therefore, if you look at these large countries, and people in those countries would like to call themselves as Americans, Indian, Chinese, so on and so forth. These are very large nations with huge populations. So I think the nationalism or the nations have been evolved out of civilizations, and we think at this point in time that our nations are very strong. We say that America is very strong. We also say that so and so country is very strong. However, all of this can disappear very quickly. and it is not permanent unless all the humans who are part of the nation wants to keep it that way. Now, when I say the nations will disappear, it's a sort of a negative thing to state, but let me then bring about certain global issues which are affecting the world today. And nations are not able to solve these global issues. And because of that, we are sitting at a cusp or a crossroad at this point in time where the nations will not be able to solve the global issues. And very soon, we will have to create a new world order or new system, which is probably much bigger than nations. So the world is probably moving towards that. And the biggest change that has been brought in is the internet. The internet has changed everything. The internet was first introduced in a large way in the 90s, in the last century. Internet in some form has been around for some time, but it really grew into prominence around 95, 96, where everything started getting hooked to information superhighway. And because of that, even though you live in a nation, you are impacted by the internet. You are impacted by the global information. There is a whole lot of information which is floating around and easy access to everyone. So whether you are an American, Indian, Chinese, you are equally affected by the information which is available to you today. And gone are the days where you used to basically look at the river. You are not looking at your river today, where the water is coming from, where your food is coming from, which field it is coming from. I don't think 99% of the people who are living inside the nations today have these things on their mind, because water, electricity, food is all given. It's basically part of your nation itself or civilization itself. It's sort of a given, and therefore you don't really look at the river. Even if you are living in a city like London, and you know that the lifeline of London is Thames, but the most Londoners don't even look at the river, as if it is their lifeline, because they know that it is there, and they are not dependent directly on it. Indirectly, they are all dependent on the water, but they are more concerned about the information. Everybody's fighting about the information that you are getting. And therefore, this internet has created a new ecosystem, which nations are finding it difficult to control. And that is why we sometimes get these cyber attacks. There are malwares which are trying to change. There are software technologies which have the power to change the public perception, topple the government, make a nation bankrupt, reduce the economy to ruins. So this is exactly like going back to the ancient time when humans were living separately, but right now you're living. It is very similar to living on the bank of a river, but this river is the information highway. So if you need information, you dip your glass into the information superhighway and collect whatever information you want. So it is somewhat going back to the ancient time when the early humans were living next to the river. The only difference is that now you're living on the bank of an information superhighway. Now, this change has brought about major changes to the society, because the society as we know it is much more intermingled. So something going on in in Brazil, you are affected sitting in India, and you know about it instantly. You don't have to wait for like a week that the ship will bring me the information in the form of a newspaper. No, you can get access to information as and when it is happening. So that is the biggest change. So what is the point in having a nation in that case? If you're living in your own little nation, what is the point in living in your own little nation? Because now the people are speaking multiple languages. They are getting exposed to information which are happening in other part of the world instantly. So I think these are certain changes which are very, very profound and affecting everyone. And because of that, the issues which are happening in our world today are also not small. They are the global issues. And the nations cannot handle these issues alone. For example, if there were issues related to village, then village could handle that issue which is related to a very localized issue. But if there is a problem happening, some attack on a civilization, then a village is totally helpless on that issue because it is now attacking the civilization. That means a civilization has to take its own course and will have to raise an army and handle that attack which is happening between two civilizations. So you see, the village is too small to handle a bigger problem. Similarly, if we consider today's world, the nations are not capable of handling the global issues, and because of that, the humans will be forced to find a new ecosystem, and the notion of a nation will slowly disappear because of these five major problems which are affecting everyone. So let's go one by one. First issue is the nuclear threat. The humans have been able to create weapons of mass destruction, and once you have created it, it's good because it came as a part of an experiment, and then they realized, okay, there is so much energy locked up in atom, so you have access to this super energy, and you don't need a lot of fuel for it. A small amount of uranium can give you, megatons of energy, and that is very good. So while you have a good use in the form of producing electricity using nuclear power, but it can also be a threat to the human civilization because you have weapons, atomic weapons, which can annihilate the entire, not only humans, but every life on Earth. So we have the power to destroy not only our own civilization, humans as a race, as a species, but all other species which thrive on Earth. And we can probably have the capability of pressing a reset button. However, humans are intelligent species, as we know that. We are not foolish. So having developed this technology, there are governments who are coming together and they are ensuring that the use of nuclear weapons is not done ever. After the first use in Japan during Second World War, after that there has been no nuclear weapon used ever, however high the conflict between nations are. So even during the Cold War, where there is so much of animosity between East and West, there were no use of nuclear weapon. However, because of these differences between East and West, the development accelerated, but nobody used it. Simply because there are hotlines between humans, and no human is foolish enough to kill itself. But you never know in future. So I think as long as there is a nation first concept, which is a good concept. I'm not saying that it is not a good concept, but the nation itself is not able to handle the threat of nuclear annihilation on its own. You have to talk to other nations and come to an agreement so that no foolish person is able to press a button to kill the entire ecosystem of Earth, all species on Earth. So that is one thing which is happening, and because of which all nations will have to talk. You can't live independently. That you cannot say that, hey, this is my nation, I am only concerned about these boundaries, and whatever happens outside these boundaries is not my concern. That is not going to happen. All right, so what is the next issue which is happening in the Earth? Well, ecological challenges, ecological crisis. After the Renaissance in Europe, and then the Industrial Revolution, which is the Industrial Revolution which we call 1.0, way back in 17th century, because of this mechanization, and suddenly there was a huge jump in technology for humans that has actually given rise to a lot of damage to our ecology. And there are a lot of pollution, and the way we are releasing certain compounds in our atmosphere and certain waste in our waters, it is going to spoil the environment on earth. It may basically spoil the entire ecosystem. So this is a much bigger threat than pressing a nuclear button, because this is going to have a very, very long lasting implication. And that is why every nation is now talking, and they are setting up targets to stop the ecological damage that the humans have done so far. So therefore, this is something which is happening, and this is something which is affecting. And then you can't say that I'm a nation and I don't spread waste products. My living standard is much, much better. I don't spoil the nature. But you just can't get out of that, because if somebody else is doing that, you have to ensure that you got to talk to the other nation, other country, or other area, other continent, and tell him, hey, don't do this, because it is going to spoil you as well as me. So even though you don't do anything, but others are doing it, because of that you will get affected. So therefore the nations don't have answer to this issue. Now I have a viewer. There is a comment. Let me display that. And the viewer is Edify Learning, and the comment is very interesting, but networking and internet related development is good way of progress, and any other way you suggest where man can progress and thrive. Definitely, it's a very good observation, Edify Learning, and thanks for watching our live stream. I will address this question in a moment, and I think your comment is very well taken, and it will get answered. So stick around, it will get answered as we proceed in our discussion. So friends, global ecological challenge and issues cannot be handled by one nation. That means all nations have to come together, resolve their differences, and come up with a solution. So this is definitely a global issue, not localized to a particular nation. What is the next one? Now we are talking about artificial intelligence, and that is where Edify Learning, your question will be answered. We know that there are certain processes for which we require fast processing, and we also require fast intelligent robots to help us take care of things which humans cannot go, and because those conditions may be hazardous. So therefore, in order to help our own working environment, we are creating first machines which are robots, then we are giving them AI brains so that they can work and learn while living in that environment and repair things for us. And also when they are learning, they are becoming more and more like humans, because humans, when the child is born, it got to learn everything which is required to survive, starting from language to survival skills to competitiveness, knowledge. Everything has to be learned from the scratch by the human child. So similarly, when AI actually is deployed in the field in certain hazardous situations, for example, if you have to carry out a repair inside a nuclear reactor, no humans can go there unless the reactor is shut down, cooled off, and still it is radioactive. So you have to basically put on a gear which will help you, and you will not be exposed to harmful radiation. Whereas if you have the robots which are powered by AI, that means they have the learning capability, then these robots can function inside a hazardous area of nuclear reactor and work as per your desire. In addition to that, there is a lot of bioengineering happening, because the population of humans have exploded. We have just crossed 8 billion people on the earth, but the land which can produce the food is not adequate. So there are only two ways to basically provide food for all the humans on earth, which is doing bioengineering of the plants. And therefore you have these hybrid breeds which increase the yield of of a particular field 8 to 10 times. So the bioengineering is also evolving very rapidly, even though there is a United Nations charter saying that no experimentation is allowed on humans, but then there is no bar on experimenting on other species. So plants, animals, it's all free for all. So scientists have been doing a lot of bioengineering, although a lot of these details are not available in public. A lot of these things are being done, but apart from the increasing the yield of wheat and rice and certain pulses and grains, whatever bioengineering being done on animals is completely not known to public. But nonetheless, that we have the capability. We can actually alter the DNA and create a new variant of a particular species. We have the capability, even though for humans we have not done that, but who knows, we start doing that for humans in future. When AI has to go to deep ocean diving and mapping, there are probes which can go inside volcanoes and make a study inside the hazardous environment, or in the space, and especially the distances on space are so vast. Some decisions have to be taken autonomously by these probes. They cannot have their human masters to tell them that, hey, this is a situation I'm facing, what decision I must take. So the AI has to learn the environment, live in that environment, and take the decisions as per the intelligence given in their software systems, so autonomously. And there could be bioengineered artificial intelligence systems in future, so that they can adapt to that environment easily. So I think all of this is happening, and probably all of this is going to be available in next 30 to 50 years or 30 to 100 years. We are already consuming a lot of bioengineered food grains. So as far as the bioengineering is concerned, I think we are already experienced for about 100 years. And also a lot of these antibodies and a lot of medicines being provided, a lot of solutions being provided for human ailments and diseases using these bioengineering. So we are already exposed to this, we are consuming it commercially. So the next step would be taken very soon in next 30 to 100 years, where we expand our influence outside Earth or deep in the ocean, or probably send probes deep inside the Earth or Moon or Mars. There we would actually need very smart systems and autonomous decision making capabilities of the AI. So this is a reality, and again, one nation cannot take a call on this simply because the entire world is affected by this, and one nation cannot say that, look, I have an oil reserve in my country and I will not use AI based systems, because certain areas can be very dangerous for humans to operate. So even though you have some reserves but cannot be harnessed using humans, you will actually end up taking robots and sending them powered by AI. So I think this is again something which is going to impact the future of nations, because these are certain things which are global in nature. If you come up with an AI based systems, then this is going to impact you. It's not only the machines, and AI can be used in a very negative way. It can be attacked using cyber, bypassing cyber security, and start dealing with government websites and government information and people's information. So AI can be very devastating also. So when such intelligent systems are developed, humans will also develop that these AI should not go out of hand. And therefore, because humans are intelligent, they will, when they are developing these intelligent systems, they will also think about all other possibilities that the AI can harm them. So they will also come up with solutions in case such a event happen. So therefore, that is one possibility. And let's talk about autonomous system. So as I was talking about that, autonomous systems are absolutely important. Autonomous systems, especially when you are exploring other star systems which are thousands of light years away from us, there is no way we can actually control these systems, because if they have an issue, if they see something 4,000 light years away, by the time the signal reaches Earth, it will be 4,000 years. That means many years have passed, and people who are controlling that system will have to be stationed, but 4,000 years, no humans can stay. So therefore, these systems which will be exploring outer solar systems will be completely autonomous. They will be able to take decisions on their own. They will be quite intelligent. They will have probably engineered using bioengineering. They will be able to survive in many kind of systems. They will probably study black holes and the impact of gravity, and much, much, much intelligent than what AI systems that we see today. And they will have the capability of working without any human intervention. They will actually contact human masters as and when required, or as and when they achieve certain objectives, and probably inform humans that, hey, we have found this and we are informing you. So these autonomous systems will evolve and grow along with the human societies. That will change our society completely, because these autonomous systems will be able to think for themselves. And when we are living in a society using these autonomous systems, why we have to only send them to outer space? They can be living with us, working in our day-to-day life, freeing up our mind to become more creative. And we start looking at the next development, next technology gateways. So humans will get freed up, and these autonomous systems in the form of robots or machines will start living in our society. There will be new laws and regulations. How do we treat these autonomous systems? How these autonomous systems treat us? So all of this new legal framework will also come up, because these autonomous systems will have the ability to think. And there will be a situation where these autonomous systems will start making copies, just like humans have offsprings, they have their children. These autonomous systems will also start making their own copies. That is bound to happen, because why you want to go to a hazardous factory environment when these robots can make new robots? So why you want to do that as humans? So you would rather develop a system which is completely automatic and will be autonomous, and also produce their offsprings, make copies of themselves, so that ecosystem keeps happening and working independently, whereas the human society will then start looking at the next age of development. With all of these things, when it is happening, the society as we know as nations today will not be able to, will not exist as a nation, because it will be a global law. There will be a global society. There will be a global financial system. So therefore, as we progress into future, the idea of nation will slowly dissolve, and we start living in a much, much bigger patch of as a civilization. So I think it will become one civilization of humans, because by and large everybody will have the same living standards. By and large everybody will speak the same language. By and large everyone will have the same legal framework and economic framework, and that will unify the humans in future. And once that unification happens, then the next phase of development will happen. That is when the AI, in fact, everybody has been warning humans that if the AI becomes much more capable than humans, then that will be the extinction of humans. That's what the people are talking about. But I personally believe that I do not agree, because humans are intelligent species, as I said. So they will never allow AI to overtake them, and they will not give AI a free hand. They will rather use AI as a substandard species, maybe, and use them as helping hand, not giving them everything that humans knows. And therefore, humans of future will, uh, will intelligently modify themselves as well. They will actually start building these AI modules within their own bodies to basically become much more capable, many times capable than their robot counterparts. And gradually, today we are getting all these prosthetics fitted in our body for improving our lifestyle. If you lose a limb, you can get it prosthetically implemented on your body. But in future, you will have choice of prosthetics. For depending on what kind of work you want to do, you want to use a hand. Okay, these are the hands which you can use. But if you want to basically a sledgehammer, all you need to do is replace this hand with a sledgehammer and go about doing the work. So things like that humans will definitely do. They will start putting a lot of components of AI, the tech they are developing, bioengineering, and those sort of things. Now, I don't know whether you heard about the artificial intelligence, artificial life forms, or inorganic life forms, because we are all made of organic material as we know it. We are all made of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, etc. So the inorganic life form is which is artificially created without none of these elements, carbon, nitrogen, etc. None of these hydrocarbons. And humans have been able to create the DNA which is completely artificial. And this is all done in the laboratory. And in future, what is stopping humans to implement this technology along with our organic body? So certain portion in our body will become inorganic, and when we get inorganic sort of a skin, it will be much more durable to radiation. It will be durable to any diseases. It will prevent all kinds of viruses entering, because inorganic cannot be infected by virus and bacteria. So I think we will implement some of these technologies that we are learning right now, and implement a lot of AI, properly connected brains in future, ability to think. Internet will start from our brain instead of accessing internet through a PC. So we will all get connected. We will have a similar thinking power. We will share a lot of data very fast, using some sort of a 7G, 10G kind of a network, which will come up by that time. And therefore, these things are very interesting. And when humans are doing all this, what is stopping humans to implement these things within their own body, to improve their own strength, to improve their own intelligence, to improve their own capability? So while everybody wants that, hey, if AI becomes more intelligent, that will be the extension of humans. But I feel that it's the contrary, because humans will not be foolish to give so much power or weightage to AI. They will actually start implementing AI within their own body, keeping their mind as a ruler of everything else. So I think these are the traits of becoming God. When we are creating inorganic life forms, we are creating something which is out of the normal evolutionary pattern, because we have come so far after 4 billion years of evolution. And evolution is a very long process. Now we are able to inorganically generate life, generate DNAs. Then we can actually use various, if we are able to create life using inorganic material, then we can actually experiment with a lot of material to create different kinds of skin, different types of organs, which are not affected by any of the organic diseases like bacteria, virus, fungi, etc. So therefore, once we have that kind of capability, we will be much capable people. We will become spacefaring. We probably may not require to eat food. We probably will have the capability to process heat directly, absorb heat directly. Probably will not require water, because we are made of inorganic compounds. and in case we need water, we can generate it from the space itself. So our bodies will have the mechanism to absorb whatever it needs from the space itself, and then we will not need spacecraft to go from point A to point B. So I think the humans of future will be many times more capable than the AIs and robots, because robots will be weaker as compared to humans, and therefore future in future humans will possess god-like powers. They will be able to do many things which machines can't think of doing. They are very powerful. They will be able to show superhuman strength. They will be able to show superhuman thinking power, because the brains will be connected, and you can actually grow intelligence on demand just by thinking about it, because you are all connected. And by the time the science of science will also progress, and then probably we'll find new ways of faster than light communication. So I think a lot of these changes will impact the future humans, and that is why I say that we should not be scared. We should not have any apprehension that if today we are having AI, then in future we will actually lose everything, and probably AI will come one day, rise against us and kill all of us. That is not going to happen, because as I said, humans are intelligent species, and then they will implement a lot of this AI within themselves and become like God. A lot of bioengineering to themselves, and then become like God. Probably you can truly become space-faring civilization. You will not be affected by any surfacism. You will not be bound by the surface of the earth. You can live freely in open space, and therefore you will be much more capable in future than the machines that you can think of. So friends, I have come to the end of my discussion today. I will like to know what you think about this subject. If you have any thoughts, any comments on this, please feel free to share your thoughts and comments. And thanks for watching, and I will meet you tomorrow again, something more interesting. Until then, take care and bye-bye.